Hello and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this bag Clara. This is a soft bag and a simple design, so let's get started with this project. To start off this project, let me show you what fabric I'm using because this is a recycled project. So this was an old skirt and I have cut the bottom half, and here is all the fabric which I'm going to use for the lining. And this was another skirt, and this was a really thin brocade fabric, so I have already put in the interfacing to give the fabric a little bit of strength. So that's that. And this was the linen trousers, which will kind of pick up the green in this fabric, and this is going to go to the side trim where we're going to put the buckle. Let me go ahead and cut out all the pieces and then come back and continue with the project, and I'll explain each panels one by one. I've also got a long zipper and a short zipper. We'll go through that in a minute. I have cut out all my panels. Let's just go through one by one. This is the handle. I have got the base and the contrasting fabric, and we are going to learn in this video how to make this pointed V handles. Also got some bias binding. I've got some zip here. You don't need all these zips, I just need to explain it. This is part of a zipper that I bought for in a roll, and these were like 5 or 6 meters, and you have a lot of pullers, which means that you could cut the size that you need. You don't need to buy an exact size of the zipper. However, you could also buy a closed end or an open end zip, but always take a little bit longer than what you need. These are my main panels. These are my patterns. I have got 2 main panels and 2 lining pieces that's cut on fold. I have got a 5-inch zipper, and then the top and bottom layers of the zipper panels, and an extra pocket which is not in your pattern, but I will explain it. I have got the buckle panel and 2 buckles. For buckle panel, I have used a contrasting fabric and the lining fabric. So that's all we need, and let's go ahead and get started with the project. We're going to start first with the handle. Okay, here is our handle cut to size, and this is 4-inch wide. Whatever the width of your handle, it really doesn't matter. The process is still the same. This is a 4-inch wide handle, which means the finished size will be 2-inch wide. The reason being, I'm going to use this later on into a buckle. That's why I have taken 2 inches wide. So follow your pattern, whatever pattern you're using. And we also need a 1-inch bias tape on the top. This needs to be a bias tape, otherwise you won't be able to get the finish we'll get on this handle. So basically, this was a recycled denim fabric taken from a skirt. Now I had to make some joints if you're wondering what this black bit is. Basically what I have done, I have cut 2 pieces together straight, and then what I did was go ahead and attach it at the back with a fusible interfacing so they hold it together, and after that on the top I have done a zigzag stitch. If you want to learn how to join this, and this technique is called seamless zigzag join, there's a separate video, please go and watch it. Okay, before we go ahead, I want to explain how I got this fold. Basically, this will be a flat fabric. You fold it into half like so and iron it to get a center crease mark. And after you've taken the center crease mark, you fold the first half of the fabric to align with the center crease mark, and then you fold the second half to form a perfect handle like so. So that's how it's done. Bias binding, you can either buy the ones on the, you can buy the bias tape, or you can also make your own. If you want to learn how to make your own bias binding, please go and watch the video called How to Make a Bias Binding. Okay, now this handle needs to be the length that you need. You can't increase it, you can't shorten it. So it's very important that you have cut it as per pattern, or if you're making your own bag for some other project, then just make sure the handle length you've got it right, because you can't lengthen it, you can't shorten it, as I said. Okay. And this one, you need to take a little extra, but we're going to cut it short later on. So the first step is you're going to fold like so in the opposite direction, and then go and sew a 1/4 inch seam starting and finishing with a back stitch. We're going to do exactly the same on both the ends. We start and finish with the back stitch, and we're sewing a 1/4 inch seam. We go and do exactly the same on the other side. Here is the end of the handle we have just sewn. just go ahead and trim the corner. Don't cut the stitch, just trim the corner like so. Just hold it like so and then press it with a hot iron, and you might have to put your fingers in there. Please don't burn your fingers, just be careful. Just go for a medium iron, and then you will see, you can already see the V taking shape. The fabric we have cut is just forming the right V, and it's not in the way and forming the bulky corner. Okay, so what we do, we now just turn it over like so, and either put a little pencil or a knitting needle, and then you get a pointed V like this. Now make sure this center joins the center crease you have made earlier, which means the fabric here and the fabric here is exactly the same, and this is a straight line. And now just go and iron so we form our V here. Okay, now we go back to the old crease we had and then form it back like so, and then press it with iron. Now we have got the base ironed in neatly. We need to do exactly the same for the top. Here is a handle, both the V's neatly finished, and now we need to cut the top bias banding exactly to the size of starting. This is a raw edge of my bias banding, so I'm aligning it with the end of the V to just keep it kind of easy, don't pull it, and then just go ahead and fold on the other end and cut off the rest of your bias binding like so. So the unfinished length of the top layer will be the exactly same as the finished length of the bottom layer. Okay, so now we fold like so and take it to the opposite side and go and sew a 1/2 inch stitch starting and finishing with a back stitch, exactly how we did with the top. When you're sewing smaller pieces of item, this is a little trick that you could do, because when you start off with a back stitch, sometimes the fabric goes and sticks in, and then there's all sorts of going on in the machine. So I just sew like so, and then I go and sew the bottom of my bias binding, and this way the thread won't get stuck. At the same time, I go and sew the other end of my bias binding as well. Okay, the same way we are going to turn this in and just poke the corners with a pencil. Now we just go ahead and make sure that's in a straight line and iron it. If you're using a taffeta bias binding, self-made bias binding like mine, just be careful about the iron heat, because this could burn quite easily. And now we go and place it back like so and fold it back into place. Now what we're going to do is go and place this like so and sew on the top. Before we do that, we need to get the position right, because it has to be the same at the beginning and at the end. So to do that, we have to make some markings. Okay, take your base handle, fold it into half, match the pointed V's together, and just make a marking. So we get the marking at the center. Now we take the bias binding, fold it into half, and I would probably just do a little iron mark, so we just get the marking, because we only need it for a second. So match those two markings like so, and at the center place a pin to hold it. So now what's going to happen is we're going to start in the center, go all the way and stitch back to the center, and then go all the way and come back and finish where we started. The reason we're doing this is because both our ends are finished, and if the bias binding is going to stretch, it will stretch evenly on either side. So you won't have one starting at 1/2 inch away and the other ending just 1/4 inch away from the end. That way you get a perfect, neat V-finished handle. Give it a quick iron and you will see that you have sewn a neat pointed V handle. Later on we are going to pass this through the buckle, so we need to make a marking. So I have taken 2 3/4 inch or 6.5 centimeters and I have made 2 markings. We're going to cut a hole and then also put some eyelets. I have got one of these that you could buy in a hardware store to make a hole, and it actually gives you a lot of different dimensions of hole, smaller to the largest. I'm using number 4 and I'm also using 5 mm eyelets. It usually comes in a pack like this, and in the center you'll also see that you've got this die set which is going to hold. I've already fixed this because this comes separately. We're going to learn how to use this in a minute. Okay, so let me place this to the center and make sure that it's on my marking, and then hold it like so, and then basically just go and press till you get the click sound so the hole is made. Okay, don't worry about all the little bits, it will open up and the eyelet will come through. If you don't have eyelets, you could still use it like this because this is not going to fray because it's all cut in bias and it's in the center and there's nowhere to go for the fibers. But if you could use an eyelet, that would be brilliant. You basically have these 2 parts to your eyelets. So the one with the little wall in the center goes in the top like so, and then it goes through the hole and fixes in like so. Okay, before we fix our eyelet, you need to have a wooden surface because you need a little hammer as well. So my eyelets have gone in at the other side. Now you can see you're just going to put your eyelets like so around the top and around the top of the eyelet and press it so it's almost holding it. Now all it needs to do is the edges come out and it binds it. So for that we need to have this tool. So we're going to have the hollow bit, if you can see, that is the hollow bit. That goes on the top like so, and we go and hold the pointy bit at the bottom and place it like so on a wooden surface and give it a few beats. And you can see the eyelet is in place. It's as simple as that. If you want to have a few more eyelets so you can shorten and lengthen your handle, go ahead and place a few more. When you put your buckles through like so, that's how it's going to look. Okay, the next step is we're going to work on the pockets. This is part of your pattern, top layer of your zip, bottom layer of your zip. I have taken a 5-inch zip, and this is not in your pattern, but this is basically a rectangular piece of fabric. I have folded once and then I have folded about 1 inch, and then we're going to go and patch it like a patch pocket. Okay, now because this fabric I have taken out of a recycled old linen trousers, this one, and I have cut off one leg. This fabric hasn't got any strength. As you can see, it's quite flimsy. When you recycle fabrics like these, then you need to add a bit of stability to the fabric. To do that, what I have done, I have lined it with an interfacing which has glue on one side and fabric on the other side. You just go and basically iron it, and the glue will stick to the fabric, giving you the stability you need. If you have a fabric that doesn't fray, like my linen fabric here, you can basically just fold and fold again and make a smaller version of this fold and go and place it on top like so, and then sew on the top. And then inside you could just put another stitch here, so it's all neatly finished. Now the other way to do it, in case if you don't have the fabric, and I have cut out smaller pieces of fabric as per my pattern. So what I'm going to do is, just to add a little bit more interest, I'm going to take my bias binding, fold it into half and place it like so, and just go and sew a top stitch. And I'm going to do that to both the panels. on the side that's going to join the zipper. Okay, place your bias binding like so. Leave a little bit extra at the top. It's always good to have a little bit more binding than how much you need. Okay, so place it to the edge of my stitching line and just sew a stop stitch. Now we go ahead and do the same on the other panel. We've sewn in the binding. What we're going to do is place it on top of the zipper like so, leave equal amounts, and possibly just use the foot that is suited on your machine, and just go and do a top stitch at the edge of this binding, so that stitch will attach this panel to the zip properly. And we go and do exactly the same on the other side. When you do this, just make sure the straight line is aligned on both the sides. We're going to cut a lot of this off because we don't need this extra, but still it's better that you match the fabric together, so you can cut off equal amounts later on. I have changed my foot to zipper foot and just position my needle so that I get an edge stitch, and this is something you have to work out in your machine, how to do this. If you go through your manual, you'll be able to find it. So I'm going to start off with an edge stitch and just make sure that I place the panel so that I get equal amounts on either side of the zipper teeth. Now I go and place the other side of the panel like so and do this stitch the same way. We have sewn the zipper to the panels and we don't need all this excess. All we need from the end of your zipper puller and the end of the zipper end, only about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch. We don't need any more than that. So I'm just going to place my ruler like so and then make a marking, a straight line, so that I can trim this and then I can trim this off. Okay, let's go ahead and again bind the end of our panel like so and then do a top stitch. Same way, we're going to fold this into half and then go and bind this edge as well. Okay, we have sewn the top and bottom of the pocket. Now we need to edge bind this bit, but before we do that, I just want to tell you that we need to completely kind of be straight on either side, otherwise you won't get a kind of rectangular pocket. So that needs to be absolutely straight. We could go and do exactly the same, just fold the edges like so. However, if you're a beginner and if you're struggling to be absolutely sure, what we're going to do, we've cut out a bias binding slightly about 1/2 inch on either side extra. Place it like so and go and sew a little bit away from the fold, about halfway through the fold and the edge. So we're going to go and sew a stitch like that. When we do that, we're going to bend, we're going to fold the corners like this and start sewing. I've changed my foot back to normal foot, so I'm just going to fold the edge like so and start sewing somewhere halfway through my allowance. Start and finish with the back stitch as always. When we come to the end, again we're going to fold the rest of the binding like so and finish with the back stitch. We have come to the end of part 1. Please find the links to part 2 in the description box below.